So this is sort of a fun little thing. I was given this amp some years ago. It's a little, it's missing a logo. There would normally be a Fender logo here. I guess someone decided the logo was worth more than the amp. It's a sort of a little practice amp. It is a Fender Bullet, also sold as a Squire Bullet. I think it's rated at something like 10 watts or something. It's a little solid state amp intended for practice amp, or well, practice amp, especially since it has the headphone jack, but also kind of a beginner amp, a good one for someone just starting out. I think it's rated for like 10 watts or so. And one thing I did change about it, it actually had a sealed back on it. This back was solid. You can see the screws are still in it, and it has these ports right there in the speaker baffle. So they're trying to get some low end out of the cabinet. They were trying to engineer the cabinet to produce some bass, but I think something got lost in the translation there. I'll show you what I mean. Because you can do whatever you want with a cabinet design, but stick this in. Just got your typical Stratocaster here. Actually, this one is not your typical one. It's the strings are like 3 years old. It's just I don't maintain this one particularly well at the moment. It's just kind of a beater around the house type of a deal. So, so they tried to engineer the cabinet to produce some low end or some bass, and you can see I've got the bass on 10 all the way up. Treble is off. Here, I'll turn the mid-range off too, and here's the sound that we get. It's actually not half bad like that. Try and put any high end in it at all, you get a, it does on the bridge pickup. It starts getting a little extreme there, just barely cracked open. Here's what the mid-range does. This doesn't seem to help either. Here bringing in kind of a nasal sounding frequency there. So I guess it's acceptable for a practice amp. I mean, you can practice with this tone. It's not the best tone in the world. It's not the worst. It's not bad. A little bit thin, but it works. It's only an 8-inch speaker in there. Well, what I think they really set it up for is not this. But I think this actually got a distortion effect built into it. I think they set it up more for that, and by set it up for that, I mean it sounds like it's a lot more at home producing this sound instead. It's still very top-endy and fizzy, whatever you want to call it. So I'll turn the treble off, I'll turn the mid off, and the bass is still all the way up, and here's what we got there. It's like almost metal. And of course, listen to all this low end it produces. I mean, that's that's a lot of low end for a little tiny cabinet with an 8-inch speaker, right? That's just tons and tons of low end. I do have the bass turned up, but if you turn it down, it loses a lot of its punch, and the punch is part of the fun of playing it like that. So it's ridiculous to have these two controls rolled all the way off like that and the bass all the way up to get here. I can lower the gain and get a little less of a distortion effect sound and more of a little bit more of a natural overdriven. It's not the most satisfying thing to play because the highs and the mids are so ugly. If I turn the high end up at all, especially with it like that, anything less than full on almost max gain, like I had the gain at like 8 or something before. If I put any highs in it at all, I get the fizz, and it just gets worse as you turn it up. And that's the treble isn't even halfway up. The mids are like really super boxy with the gain turned down. That's what that sounds like, which is fine if that's what you're trying to do, but I like it to produce a little bit more of a, I don't know, just a little more well-rounded tone with some mid-range and some highs that aren't so fizzy and annoying would be nice. So I went and got this. Let's see if I can stick this in the view. Yes, I got that. And it's a modern Jensen C8R is what it is. That's the model of it. It's an 8-ohm speaker in this little thing. And the C stands for ceramic. And the 8 stands for an 8-inch speaker. It's this right there. And the R, I believe, is the type of cone. If I'm not mistaken, it's either the cone or the power handling or some combination of the two. But this will handle more power than the amp can put out, and I'm gonna throw that in there and see what difference it makes. Be right back. Compare some of these two. Look how skinny the magnet is on the original speaker. But luckily it's clearly marked an 8-ohm speaker. Looks like it's a C6.4 or something like that. I don't know what kind of speaker this is. No idea. Mystery me. But it does look pretty small. This Jensen has a little bit of beef to it. Okay. Also noteworthy, the Jensen has a ribbed cone, whereas the original has a smooth cone. Typically, a ribbed cone is less prone to speaker breakup. A ribbed cone has, I think the purpose of these ribs is to make the cone, not positive, I'm not an expert on speakers, but I think these make the cone more rigid than it would with this style, which is just plain paper. And the plain paper is more likely to give you cone cry and funny anomalies in there, whereas this will not. This will stay a lot more stable as the volume is turned up. The only reason I say that is because I did try a smooth cone once and I did not like it. So, and that was in a different amp, a completely different scenario. So try to stay open-minded. In the future, you know, I would try a smooth cone in the future, maybe, but as a general rule, that you know, kind of developing a preference for ribbed. Okay. Well, overall, for an inexpensive upgrade, I'm pretty impressed with this so far. Here's what I have. Here the amp is set clean, and you notice I'm actually able to run these controls up a little bit without it. Well, here's what it sounds like. Turn it up a little bit.
Highs up a little. It has really nice sounding highs now, whereas before the highs were all fizzy and ice picky and ugly. So that's pretty cool. It's going to be a lot more fun to practice through this now. So like even the dirty side, which was pretty ridiculous before, is not too bad now. I still want to volume wise, let's see where we're at. So I still it's still the dirty side is still a little bit fizzy. If I knock off just a little highs like about that, the tone controls on the amp work so much better now, and they operate in frequencies that make sense, whereas before it did not. So on the dirty side, if I just knock a little highs off, like here's a low gain kind of a sound. Probably a little too loud for the phone. It's pretty palatable now. I mean, as long as you don't go too nuts with that and you turn the highs down a little bit, it's pretty good. And just a general tip too for any amp, if you're using like broken up sounds, most of the stuff on records is nowhere near as dirty as people act like they are. And really, for most of it, like from songs and sounds from the late 60s and early 70s, what you want is you want to be able to play the guitar really light and have it come through sounding clean. Very lightly. And then when you hit the guitar, you have all that power, which increases the whole dynamic range of everything you play, which will make you a lot more exciting to listen to. You know, like in front of an audience or whatever, if you use every bit of that range. And also all the different colorations you can get from here, from right about there, with just the guitar volume knob without changing pickups or anything. There's all this space. So just kind of a quick tip there, but the full-on gain, if you're going to turn the gain way up on this, still to me sounds better with a little bit of highs taken off it, like right around in there. That's how well the controls work now. You can actually hear a difference, a good difference, you know, and only half a notch when it's right at the point where it's really working well. I'll take a little bit. There we go. so forth. It actually does it pretty convincingly now. I'm kind of impressed with the little thing. So I'm glad I did this little speaker swap, and I hope it's been fun to listen to the change, and hopefully you can hear it. I definitely can. All right, see you, bye.